Hi, I'm Gary White for Channel 6 Television. I'm here with Dr. Johnny Isaacs with Isaacs and Isaacs General Dentistry on Bobolink Drive in Springfield for our regular segment on everything to do with dentistry in the mouth.
Everything you were afraid to ask. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And today we're actually going to ask about some different phrases that have to do with the mouth. Because, you know, obviously your dentist looks at your teeth and your tongue and all that kind of stuff, but your mouth's used to say lots of different things. And there are a lot of phrases that are associated with it too.
Well, there are, and you and I talked about this, about topics. And in the past, we've talked about insurance, we've talked about children's dentistry, we've talked about summer care, and we thought we'd just kind of talk about some of the phrases, some of the sayings that people have over the centuries, really, that have come up with about the teeth and the mouth, and it kind of goes to how much importance they placed on this, and what it meant to them. So that's kind of what we're going to do today.
Okay. So let's start off with our first one that we have on the list here that we appreciate you doing.
Last night I did some homework last night, and what we did, we just we were using our Google format and going over it. So
I do want to say the "we" that he's referencing is your new wife.
Well, yes. When this airs, it will be my wife.
Because you're actually getting married.
Getting married tomorrow.
The day after we record this, but by the time you see this, it will have been
already
occurred.
Unless I backed out and I really got cold feet, then we'll have to edit this. But yeah, finally getting married.
And her name?
Her name is Pam Perlman from Lexington. She has local ties here in Springfield. Her grandmother, who recently passed away, was Roxy Coyle, and her grandfather was Elmer, who passed away a few years ago. So I've known Pam since she was a child, so we used to play together as children.
Right.
Now we're playing as adults.
Exactly, exactly. And coming up with some good phrases.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so she helped me last night. She was doing it, so it's in her handwriting, so if I mess this up, we'll blame her. But like we were like slip of the tongue. Like where did that term? We all think we know, slip of the tongue. It's like you say something that you misspeak. But the origin of that it's an unknown origin. However, after we looked into it, there was something called slip of the pen that was used back in the 1650s. It was in the newspapers or the leaflets that they pass out. It was called a slip of the pen. So then we think it was derived from that. So if you misspoke or you wrote something down you shouldn't have, it was called a slip of the pen. P-E-N, not P-I-N, P-E-N, slip of the pen. So, but we think it evolved into slip of the tongue.
So when you say it,
something if you say something you didn't mean to say, we all know, or if you say something that you shouldn't have said. A lot of times we kind of know stuff on somebody and say, "Oh, it's just a slip of the tongue. Don't pay no attention to that."
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of that goes back to the 1650s.
Oh wow.
That's before the two of us were around.
A little bit.
Yep.
Now, also, cat got your tongue.
Yep.
There's another one. A lot of tongues in here.
Right, and the cat got your tongue, which I think is pretty funny. It's when you're trying to keep a secret, and the legend has it that a witch would send a cat to actually get the tongue from somebody to keep them quiet. So you could. It was probably back in the New England area.
With the Salem witch trials and
with
stuff.
The Salem witch trials back in the 1600s.
Yep.
So you'd send a witch. If a witch came down, a witch would put a spell on you and the cat would come and take your tongue away. So it goes back to that. So a cat got your tongue. That means you can't speak or you shouldn't speak. Or a lot of kids, when they get nervous, they won't speak. And I remember my grandmother saying, "Has a cat got your tongue?" I had no idea what it meant until last night.
Exactly.
So now it was from the witch craze, the witch of the 1600s.
Exactly.
So about the same time.
Yeah.
Now, the third one we have on our list, which a lot of people don't know, and it's something I say daily, wisdom teeth. Now, dentists, we call wisdom teeth third molars. You might hear your dentist talk about your thirds or your third molars. You've got your first, second, and then you don't get your third molars until you're an adult, usually about 17 to 22, age 22. And it was just because that's when most people, it was a sign of maturity, is when you got your wisdom It's when your
okay.
wisdom teeth came in.
Okay.
And a lot of times we take out the wisdom teeth, and that's kind of a joke. Don't take my wisdom away, but I would say probably 80% of all wisdom teeth should come out. And when I was in school, the theory behind that was that they thought that our mouths and heads were getting smaller, and you didn't have the room for them. That's not really true. There is no room for it, but the reason is because our diets have changed. We're eating a softer diet now, so instead of using our molars and grinding our teeth, and if you ate a lot of grains, you would wear the teeth down. So you'd have an extra set of molars to come in after you wore the first sets of first molars and the second molars down. So whenever you were 20 years old, you got fresh teeth. So, and there would be room for it because you'd actually lose some of the diameter of the teeth, and then there's room for it.
Oh wow!
So that's why we have it. And that just came out really, I'm going to say probably 20 years ago. That's the first time I've ever heard that. It makes a lot better sense than our heads are shrinking, because they're not. Okay, so there are certain Cro-Magnon man and Neanderthals. They had different sized heads and skulls, but modern man, our skulls are bigger, but our heads are really not shrinking any. So.
But that's interesting that they would be.
I always thought that was kind of good.
Yeah. How about we had an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth?
Yeah, that came from the Babylon law, and it was a retaliation for a crime. There again, putting the emphasis on how valuable teeth were, or an eye. If you didn't have your eye, you couldn't work, you couldn't fight, you couldn't do a whole lot. So if you actually struck an eye out of somebody, they would take your eye out too, or a tooth for a tooth. It was punishment. And this goes back to Leviticus 24:19. There is that is actually in the Bible that it says it. Of course, that's Old Testament. So it goes back to the Old Testament about an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And of course, there are some cultures that if you get caught stealing, they'll lop your hands off. So,
hand for a hand.
And I've seen that when I was over in the Middle East. That happened. You'd see that. I never saw that happen, but you see people without hands, and that's what happened to them.
Wow.
Got caught stealing.
Wow.
So if you get caught chewing something wrong, maybe it'll take your teeth out. But
yeah. Well, if you chew the wrong thing, they might fall out.
Exactly. That's true. That's true.
How about cut your teeth on?
All right. That goes. Cut your teeth on. It goes, of course, when babies are born without teeth. I want to lock that door there. Somebody's coming in the back door. We don't. Live television here, folks. So what you would do, and whenever a baby is born without teeth, and they usually come in when they're 6 months old. So whenever you start a new career, they were just said you're going to cut your teeth on this new career, and that's kind of what gone. It was a saying to somebody as they graduated school or got out of college. You'd say go cut your teeth now. So you do it on a new career.
Okay, and also you have a sweet tooth. Right,
and the sweet tooth comes from the 14th century. So there again, there's back in the 1300s, there weren't a lot of sweets around. So if you said to crave it, it was said that your teeth, you had a sweet tooth, you craved sweets. And at one time, I don't have the date, but it was the royalty was about the only area of the population that could afford sweets. So they had rotten teeth. So if you had rotten teeth were actually it was a status symbol to have rotten teeth. If you had a big hole in your tooth and a decay, that means you could afford sweets, sugar. Because sugar, we all know sugar will decay our teeth. That was one of our lessons a few weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, that we said that there's 200 different bacteria in our mouth, but only one of them causes tooth decay, and that's the Streptococcus mutans. And that's what decays the teeth. So if you had that sugar in there, then you could. It was a status symbol.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that's changed.
It's just it really hasn't. But we still, our country, we still have a lot of sweets over here.
Now, also, the kind of derivatives from that, I believe, are have a taste for and being toothsome.
Yes, yes, exactly. Same thing. After the sweet tooth, then it came to be, you know, you have you're toothsome for a certain food. But and a lot of people are. You know, we all have craving something different. Mine happens to be pizza. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like it sweet
No.
or savory?
Savory.
As long as it's pizza.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, these are some of the little phrases that we get associated with dentistry, and we're going to come back with some more for you from Dr. Isaacs here. Again, I'm here with Dr. Johnny Isaac with Isaacs and Isaacs General Dentistry in Springfield on Baba Links Drive. And what's the phone number here?
Phone number is 859-336-7680. 336-7680.
For Isaacs and Isaacs General Dentistry.